90% of them were wiped out.
Yeah.
That's a crazy number if you really stop and think about it.
Yeah. It's considered probably the most dramatic demographic disaster in human history.
90%. That's how many of them vanished. No descendants, no genetic legacy, no one to carry their name. They were here for thousands of years, and then nothing. They didn't just die, they were erased. And until recently, no one even knew they'd existed. In 2025, scientists cracked open bones buried high in the Colombian Andes, and what they found rewrote the entire story of human migration to the Americas. These people, they weren't Native Americans. They weren't connected to any living group. And according to every genetic map we had, they shouldn't exist. This is the story of the lost people of Colombia and the DNA that has left scientists completely stunned. High above Bogota, nearly 2 miles above sea level, lies the Bogota Altiplano, rugged, quiet, windswept. A place where time moves slowly and secrets sleep deep underground. For years, archaeologists had found the usual: stone tools, beads, fire pits, signs that people passed through, maybe settled, maybe moved on, nothing too surprising. Then came the bones. At first, they didn't look like much, just weathered fragments from a burial site called Checwa. But under the microscope, these bones had something to say. In May 2025, a team of researchers published a bombshell study, Colombia's first ancient human genomes. They had managed to extract DNA from 21 individuals buried across 5 archaeological sites around Bogota, dating back nearly 6,000 years. 14 of those individuals matched expected genetic lineages, early Native American groups tied to the Great Migration across the Bering Land Bridge. But 7 of them, they didn't match anyone. Not modern Native Americans, not ancient populations in North or South America, not even distant cousins. Genetically, they were ghosts. Now let's hit pause, because here's why this is such a big deal. The story of how humans populated the Americas has been, up until now, pretty simple. Around 15,000 years ago, people crossed from Siberia into Alaska using the Bering Land Bridge. From there, they spread south. Some took the Pacific coast, others followed inland routes. Genetically, this created 2 main branches: Northern Native Americans, Southern Native Americans. Every indigenous group in North, Central, and South America traces back to those original migrants, but the Checwa 7, they belonged to neither branch. They were not part of the known family tree at all. Let that sink in. A group of people lived in Colombia for thousands of years and left behind 0 genetic footprint, as if history deleted them. So, who were they? Scientists don't know. What they do know is that the Checwa group lived in the region for millennia, but their DNA vanishes completely by 2,000 years ago. No gradual blending, no trace in modern Colombians, no overlap with incoming populations. It was a hard reset. One theory says they were wiped out by disease or climate disaster. Another suggests a wave of migration from Central America pushed them out. A third theory, they were so genetically isolated, so small in number, that their lineage simply ended. The timing matches something else, too. Around 2,000 years ago, new groups began arriving in Colombia's highlands. People who brought ceramics, new tools, and a completely different genetic signature. These newcomers weren't descendants of the Checwa group. In fact, their DNA pointed north, toward Panama. They spoke early forms of the Chibchan languages, which are still spoken today by indigenous groups in Central America. Usually in archaeology, when one culture replaces another, you see a blend. Tools change gradually, burial styles evolve, genes mix, languages borrow words, but not here. In the Bogota Highlands, the shift was total. New tools, new customs, new people. The original Checwa population was erased, genetically, culturally, linguistically. This wasn't evolution, it was replacement. For scientists, this is unheard of in South American history, and it raises a terrifying possibility. If an entire group of people could vanish this cleanly, how many others have we missed? Colombia was long considered a pass-through zone in early human migration, just a pit stop for ancient travelers heading further south. But this discovery flips that idea on its head. What if Colombia wasn't just a highway? What if it was a cradle, a collision point, where separate human lineages met, and some disappeared? Even more shocking, the Checwa people may have been among the first to arrive in South America. They weren't newcomers. They may have been here before the ancestors of modern Native Americans. Think about that. They came early. They stayed for thousands of years, and then gone. No myths, no oral history, no genetic footprint, just bones. Until recently, Colombia was a blind spot on the genetic map. Mexico, Peru, Chile, all sequenced. But Colombia, silent. Then, with 21 ancient genomes, the silence broke. The Chekwa group didn't just rewrite a chapter of history. They exposed how fragile our understanding of the human timeline really is. In most parts of South America, ancient populations show genetic continuity. People evolve, mix, survive. But in the Bogota highlands, the line breaks completely. Now the big question. Was the Chekwa group a one-time fluke, or are they the first crack in a much larger wall? What if there were other ghost populations, groups that came, lived, thrived, and were wiped from memory before history even began? No pyramids, no monuments, no survivors, just gone. And the scariest part? We might never know. Unless, of course, more bones start talking. This discovery doesn't just challenge archaeology textbooks, it shakes our understanding of identity, origin, and survival. The Chekwa people weren't conquerors, they didn't build empires, but they mattered. They lived, hunted, raised children, buried their dead with care. They existed. And that matters. Because sometimes, history isn't told by the winners. Sometimes it's told by the bones left behind. They were never supposed to be part of the story, but now the story can't be told without them. So the next time someone tells you we figured out how the Americas were populated, think of Colombia. Think of the DNA that shouldn't exist. And remember, history doesn't always leave a trail, but sometimes it leaves a whisper. What do you think about the Chekwa discovery? Let us know in the comments below, and if you like this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and dig deeper with us.